Rust is a really hard language, so I made an attempt to learn it in only 7 days by making a fast file explorer. I couldn't start coding straight away. I had to learn the basics and how to set up Rust. I installed it from the website, and here I found this book that has everything I need to know about Rust. It even has these quizzes on each page. I learned that when you compile your code, you get this exe that just runs and the user doesn't have to install Rust on their machine. Rust has its own package manager called Cargo that works like NPM in web development. Just write the package you want to use and you're done. It's not like C++ where you have to learn CMake. To run the code you've written, you have to type cargo run and hit enter, and it automatically compiles and runs the exe. It's really annoying to have to write cargo run every time, and to not have to do that, I finally learned about VS Code tasks. I created a task that will run the cargo run command and set a key binding to running this particular task. Now every time I want to run my code, I just hit Ctrl+Shift+B and it automatically runs it. And when I've made a change, for example this back button, instead of back to say hello world, when I press F1, now I see the change automatically. F1 just restarts the current running task. This made the learning process a lot faster. On the second day, I continued reading the book and found about these weird loops. They're not a for loop, neither a while loop. It's like a while true loop. The interesting thing about them is that you can name them. And when there are more than one loop and you type break, you can break a particular loop, not just the parent loop. Another difference in Rust is that by default, you cannot change variables. This variable starts with a value of 5, and when we try to change it, it gives us an error because it's immutable. This is by default. If we're going to change the variable, we have to add this mute, so the program knows this variable now is mutable. Another interesting thing about Rust is ownership. When data is stored to the heap, only one variable is its owner. If I understand correctly, ownership helps with managing data in the heap. In Java, there is a garbage collector that automatically manages everything. Whereas in C++, you have to manually decide when to delete data in the heap. This ownership tries to be a solution in the middle, where there's some kind of automation, but still you have some kind of control. When the variable that is the owner is deleted, so will the data that the variable owns also gets deleted automatically. But the complexity doesn't stop there. After ownership comes referencing and borrowing. Since the variables are owners of data on the heap, turns out they are permissions. So from the start, the owner has read, write, and ownership permissions to the data. But when from another variable we reference it, the owner loses write and ownership permissions. The goal of this added complexity is so that it's harder to mess up your code, but it's also harder to write code because of this steep learning curve. It got even more confusing when I got introduced to the flow permission. I realized that it's the second day and I'm on the 4th chapter of 20 chapters. So I decided it's time I stop reading and start creating and figure it out along the way. Here's the problem I'm trying to solve with my project. I have this old hard drive that is extremely slow when I try to search for something. To make an alternative to the file explorer, I had to figure out how to create a desktop application with Rust. For a GUI library, my choices were Slint, Tauri, Iced, eGUI, and I even found these text UI libraries like Cursive and this one. I picked eGUI because with little amount of code you can get a lot done, so I don't have to waste time on learning it. And the other reason is this website with all kinds of examples showcasing what eGUI can do. Not only that, but for each example, when you go down here, you can open the source code for the particular example. This means I can learn EGUI extremely fast. On the third day, I went through the examples and found this table that is perfect for my file explorer. Then I figured out how to traverse the file system just with Rust and managed to display all the files in a particular folder in EGUI. But the main problem I had to solve is this very slow search speed. The solution to this is indexing. Basically, from what I understand, you can index the files in two ways, based on their properties like their path and name, or their properties and content. So I had to find an efficient way to go through each file and store its information in a clever way. But I didn't have time to learn about indexing and came up with a very cool solution. I remember that databases also do some kind of indexing and are very efficient when you're searching for something. And I thought to myself, why don't I store the information in a database, and when the user searches for something, Rust will just query the database. On day 4, I started thinking on what database I should use and how to use it in Rust. Most people use PostgreSQL, but the problem is that I don't want to host a database the users have to connect to, and I don't want the users to have to set up a database. The solution I found is SQLite. It stores everything in a single file, so it solves all the problems. To use SQLite, I had to find the right package. The problem was that there were many packages to choose from, so I decided to pick the most popular ones. This one is just 30,000 downloads, but SQLX is 22 million downloads. And RustQLite is also 22 million downloads. The difference between them is that SQLX is asynchronous and RustQLite is not. The asynchronous approach is not a good option because I don't have much time, and this will just make it more complex. I think I even have to install another package just to deal with the async part. And another reason I didn't pick the asynchronous approach is this blog post where the author tried to see what is the fastest way he can insert 1 billion rows in SQLite. He started with Python and ended with Rust, where he also had to pick between RustQLite and SQLX, which is the asynchronous approach. The code for his best version used RustQLite, so that's what I decided to go with. On day 5, I got quite worried I will not make it because there are only 3 days left and I'm still just researching and reading. And I got quite overwhelmed because I'm still learning Rust. I don't know anything about EGUI or RustQLite. And on top of that, I have to figure out how to connect everything to work together. To find my way forward through all this mess and complexity, I created this Pomodoro to-do list. Basically, I wrote down goals that are simple and I know I can achieve. And on the right, I took note of how many Pomodoros it will take me to achieve them. 1 Pomodoro is about 25 minutes of work. I stopped focusing on the goal of learning Rust and trying to finish the application and switch my focus to the actions I can take right now. Day 5 and day 6 were my most productive days throughout the week. There isn't even day 7 because I finished on day 6. Just because of this change of approach. I stopped using EGUI, I stopped using RustQLite and focused on the absolute basics. I opened Rust and set out to list every file in a folder. The next goal was for every file to list out its name and size. Then I focused just on RustQLite and I ran their simple example where they store the name of a person in the database. Then I just changed the example instead of person to store information about files. And just like that, setting simple but achievable goals, by the end of the day, I connected all of my simple projects into one, and now my code was able to go through all the files within a folder, store them in the database, and EGUI successfully queries the database when trying to show the files within a folder. And on day 6, I polished everything up. I have this search bar where I can type, for example, .obsidian, and when I press enter, it instantly finds all the files that have .obsidian in them. The other cool feature is I can press back and it remembers that I've searched for .obsidian and shows the appropriate results, and pressing back again shows the appropriate folder I was in. Once you find the file you're looking for, by clicking it, it opens the File Explorer with the location of the file. The other cool feature is that it automatically shows the sizes of folders. You don't have to right-click each folder and to wait it calculate its actual size. Changes in the disk will not be reflected here, which is not a problem for the use case I'm using it. The goal of this application is to be able to search really fast old hard drives. I wanted to see what my old hard drive stores and to be able to find particular files extremely fast. This project not only solves my problem, but also helped me get introduced to Rust.